Do you sometimes feel like you're not worthy of a certain thing, or maybe you feel like you're not enough? Many of us go through that kind of feeling quite often. But why is that? How does that even come to be? One of the reasons is we're comparing. We're comparing ourselves to others, to other things, to a certain standard that we set for our particular life, or that we think should be there. So all of a sudden, we think we should be better, but we will oftentimes fall short of that theoretical standard that we're setting. And because we're falling short of that standard, we now all of a sudden sometimes don't feel worthy, or maybe even oftentimes we don't feel worthy of love, of receiving something, literally just being good enough. And that can weigh on us quite heavily. So, like I said, what's the problem? The problem is that we compare and we judge. And when we judge from our specific point of view, from what we think is good, bad, right, wrong, how we perceive the world. The problem is that oftentimes our judgment is influenced, and it's heavily influenced by our experiences or our emotional state. So when we're sad or depressed, we will see the world through a specific lens, and that lens will be influenced by darkness, by feeling sad, feeling unworthy. And then we compare, oh, this person is so successful, this person is so amazing, that person has everything. This guy has that girlfriend that I want, or he has the house that I want. She has the boyfriend that I want, or why does she always get everything? Well, it's not about that. Stop comparing. Stop judging. Be compassionate. Be loving and kind. Why? Because when you are compassionate with others, when you're loving and kind with others, when you're giving to others, you are allowing that to be in your life. And when you're allowing that to be in your life, it can be present for you as well. So you can give yourself compassion. You can experience kindness for yourself, patience, love. These things, for them to be there for you, you have to give them to others. If you don't ever give them, how can you possibly experience them? You don't even know what they are. What you know is comparing, judging, and pushing things away. Others always have that which you want. Give it to them, because if there's something that you want, and now we're going into a different topic a little bit, if there's something that you want, you are creating a you of free will that is wanting. And if you're wanting, that implies that you're not having. But if you're giving compassion to others, if you're giving kindness, if you look at someone, instead of being jealous, being, oh wow, this inspires me, I want to try the same, I will try the same, I will do the same. Then all of a sudden, you are letting these things into your life. You are allowing for these beautiful things to be present in your life. And when they're present in your life, they are there by definition, right? So they can be there for you as well. But when all you see is darkness and pain, and all you do is compare against that, then that's what you see. That's what your life is. That's what your experience is like. So move away from comparing and judging and being super jealous. It's okay to sometimes envy that someone has something and you work towards it. But do it out of a good heart. Do it out of a way of kindness and inspiration. Let it motivate you, but not motivate to get an outside or external recognition. Do it because it's something that you feel you might enjoy. And allow yourself to experience that in full. Allow yourself to give to others that which you wish. If you want joy in your life, bring joy to others. If you want compassion in your life, bring compassion to others. If you want love in your life, bring love to others. How can you bring love to others? How can you bring compassion to others? Oftentimes, one of the things that you should do, or that is beneficial to do, is listening, helping others, being there for them, giving advice, or sometimes literally just listening and being there to lend a shoulder. Even if you need the shoulder yourself, if you give it to someone else, you are giving, and giving will make you richer. Not in the monetary sense, maybe sometimes that too. I mean in your heart. It will give you a rich feeling that makes you feel good, that makes you feel like you did something right. And when you get that feeling out of helping someone, out of being there for someone else, out of listening to someone else, you just allowed yourself to listen, to give love. And when you can give love, there is love in your life. When love is in your life, you can also have love. If it's not in your life, how can you have it, right? And what I'm saying is not by the standards of the universe. It's more like for yourself, in your own mind. If you don't feel worthy of love, it will be very hard for you to recognize when it's actually appearing in your life. But when you give it all the time, love is ever present in and around you. And when it is present all the time, it'll be there for you as well. So when you are depressed, I understand, I've been there. When you're depressed, it feels like nothing makes sense and everything is weighing on you. You don't even have the ability, the power, the force, the strength to get up in the morning, talk to others, or do anything. In this case, oftentimes giving love to yourself is the first step. And that, since you might not be able to do it mentally, do it physically. Go wash yourself. Have a glass of water. Have a coffee. Do something nice for yourself. Make yourself feel a little bit nicer. Do something simple that is within your ability to do, and allow yourself to feel a little bit better. Wear your favorite clothes for once, or twice, or 3 times. Make your hair, style your hair. Get ready to do something. Even if you don't do it, that's okay. You don't have to do anything. But if you treat yourself as if you're a king or a queen, you'll at least have a moment where you feel, yes, I did something with love and kindness toward myself. And if you can, if you have that strength within you, do something for someone else as well. Listen to someone, call someone, talk to someone, ask them about their day. Even if you don't necessarily care because you don't even care about anything at the moment. If you consistently do certain things, certain physical things, certain mental things, over time, they will change what is going on inside of you. And when that happens, you'll start to feel a little bit better. But if you always engage with the next social media feed, for example, or you just keep scrolling through certain things, or you just keep scrolling through social media, and you just need that extra stimulus that gives you a very, very short-term satisfaction of, oh, this is nice, oh, this is nice, then you will be trapped by short-term rewards. And what that does is ultimately it gets you hooked. It makes you addicted to a certain thing. And when you feel no energy at all, when you feel without any strength, that short term, that tiny bit of relief might feel good enough for a moment. But when you take care of yourself, when you perform self-care mentally, physically, spiritually, then even if it's just a small amount where you go from 0 to maybe 1 minute, washing yourself takes maybe a minute if you perform it in a certain way. When you do a very small thing and you do it consistently, it'll help you change. And when you do that kind of change, or when you look for that kind of change, don't look for the large effects, the big thing. Look for the small one. In verse 63 from the Tao Te Ching, for example, it says, "Think of the small as large and the few as many. Accomplish the great task by a series of small acts. The master never reaches for the great, and thus he achieves greatness." So what that means is, instead of looking at the big result, when will I finally be without this pain and happy and loving again? That's looking a little too far already, at least from your perspective at the moment. What you should do is, what is the smallest thing I can do right now that over time, if consistently performed, will improve my life by a little bit? And I don't even need to be rid of it right now or yet. Yeah, sure, of course, I understand it would be much better. But if you perform these small little tasks, it'll improve your life. It'll make it a lot easier to live. And over time, what'll happen is you'll start to feel a little more energy. You'll start to see light at the end of the tunnel, so to speak. And that's the kind of light that we're hoping for. Now, what about judgments? Well, the judgments, they imply that you understand or know something. For example, when you say, this is better than another thing, then in your opinion, you say this is better. But by what measures is it better? And where does better start and where does it end? Do you know what is better for everything? Do you know what's better for you? No, you probably don't, because everything you feel, like I said earlier, is heavily influenced by your emotions or what your recent experience in life was. And you will remember those things. In psychology, I think it's called recency bias, where you remember the most recent thing that happened to you most clearly. Whether it was right or wrong doesn't even matter that much. It's just something that's prevalent in your mind. So when you judge things, these and many other factors will actually impose their will on you. And they will create something where you think this is right or wrong, where you judge it to be a certain way. And then you will compare it against other things, because in this world, everything always stands in relation to another. But that's where the problem starts coming in, because what's that relation? How are you looking at this? Are you even seeing it clearly, or are you blinded by something? Are you blinded by a desire to achieve a certain thing, to reach a specific point, to reach a goal? All of these things will narrow your view or your perspective on everything in life. And because that is so, you will not make a clear judgment, even though you think it's very clear. And sometimes it might be. That's what's so tricky about it. Sometimes you're right. What is right? But sometimes you're right with your judgment or with your idea about it. And because sometimes that is so, you think it is often so, or way more often than it actually is. But it does not matter whether you're right or wrong. What matters is what your viewpoint does with you. If it creates unhappiness in you, is it really beneficial to think like that? I don't know. Maybe not. I would say it's not. You don't even need to think. Just experience the world. Just experience without always having to judge everything as good or bad. things are things. And sometimes we don't know whether a thing is right or wrong, good or bad, in the end. I'm not saying right now. Sometimes right now something might feel really, really bad or unlucky. But in the long run, it turns out to be a really beneficial and great thing. Now, how do we take that? There's, for example, a beautiful story of a Chinese farmer with a son and a horse. One day, and they make their living like that. And one day, the horse runs away. And at night, all the villagers come over and they're like, "Oh, we're so sorry, you're so unlucky, now you can't make a living anymore." And the farmer replies, "Maybe yes, maybe no, we'll see." Then the next day, the horse comes back and brings 9 wild horses with it. Now he's rich. Now he has 10 horses. So at night, all of his friends from the village come over again and they're like, "Oh, you're so lucky, so great. Good for you. Now you're rich." And the farmer replies, "Maybe yes, maybe no, we'll see." A day after, his son tries to tame one of the wild horses, but gets thrown off and breaks his leg. So at night, all of his friends come over again, obviously, and they're like, "Oh, you're so unlucky, we're so sorry, now it will be a hard time for you to earn any money, and we're very sorry that it's so hard on you." And the farmer replies again, "Maybe yes, maybe no, we'll see." Then the day after, the army comes through the village and they collect every young man of a certain age. Everyone but his son, because his son has a broken leg. And you can imagine the villagers coming over again saying how lucky he is. And he says maybe yes, maybe no. And the moral of the story, as you probably guessed already, is we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. We don't know whether what we just experienced is good or bad. So why always judge it? Why always have to put a label to it and define it as a specific thing? Yes, in this world, sometimes it's very useful to label something, but when you do so, be aware of where its function or its name should end. Be aware that your naming should be provisional so that you can work with it. But when the circumstances change, you change with them. You don't hold on to an old thing that isn't true anymore, that isn't real anymore, so that you can actually freely go with the flow of the universe, go with the flow of what is going on, and not hold on to a past experience. Because oftentimes, when we experience something that we think is so great, we'll hold on to it, and when it isn't great anymore, we're still holding on to it. Let go. Stay within reality. Be aware that what once was good can turn bad. But if you always judge everything as good or bad, right or wrong, and so on, what happens is you will oftentimes go on an emotional roller coaster. And when you are doing that, well, you're going up and down quite a lot. And it's not even necessary. If you just waited a little longer, for example, in verse 15 it says, "Do you have the patience till your mud settles and the water is clear? Can you remain unmoving till the right action arises by itself? The master doesn't seek fulfillment. Not seeking, not expecting, she's present and can welcome all things." So basically it says when you are emotional, you will have a lot of mud stirred up here and you'll not be thinking clearly. So it tells you to wait till you are able to think more clearly again. I would recommend, for example, going outside, letting your eyes wander all around so that you actually can clear your head a little bit. That's what they say, right? Clear your head so that you get rid of these emotions, these things that blind you, these filters that you put on yourself to not see things clearly anymore. So go outside, clear your head, and when the mud is settled, when you are less emotional and you're seeing more clearly, that's when you will see the action arise by itself. The thing that you need to do, the thing that you need to say will come by itself to you. And then you'll be able to act according to what is useful and beneficial for you, not what is emotional satisfaction that you needed in the moment. Maybe you wanted to say something really nasty to feel better. No, that's not going to help you, usually. The other part of that verse is not seeking, not expecting. She's present and can welcome all things. Now, what that talks about is that you don't have a fixed idea of what it needs to be, but instead, you're flexible. You're willing to move and adjust your ideas, your thinking, your behaviors to what actually is in front of you instead of what you wish were in front of you, so that you live reality-oriented. All right, thank you very much for watching. If you liked the video, please give it a like and subscribe. Hit the bell notification icon so that you can see when I release my next video. And I hope to see you in the next one. Take care. Oh, and if you have any questions or suggestions, please let me know in the comments. I'm happy to answer. Take care.